Thank you very much. I'll now move to Ambassador Krol. I've had a number of meetings, both in the foreign relations context. I recently met with the Kazakh ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Umarov, and I've also met with Kazakhstan military officials as they've visited us in our armed services portfolio. If you would, your background and work in this region is pretty important. Talk about, to the extent that you have, you're sort of aware of this, how have Russian-Kazakh relationships been affected by all the controversy recently in the Ukraine?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that, like all countries that had been all part of the one country of the Soviet Union, they are all looking and watching as what is going on with Russia and Ukraine very intently, and Kazakhstan is one of them. Kazakhstan has a particular relationship with Russia, long border. About 20% of its population are Russian-speaking up in the north. They are members of a Eurasian Economic Union, a customs union, as well as the Collective Security Treaty Organization that they have. And so they are very intimately concerned about developments in that region, and I believe they do believe that there should be a peaceful resolution with full respect for the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence. And that is something that I think throughout its own independent existence, Kazakhstan has been particularly concerned about maintaining for itself. It exists in a very important geostrategic place between Russia, China, and then to the south, the rest of Central Asia as well. And it wants to maintain a very constructive economic and political and security relationship with its neighbors, but based on the principle of respect for its territorial integrity and its independence. And that is something that, as an American policy, that we have been supporting ever since we recognized the independence of these former republics of the Soviet Union. And we were the first to recognize Kazakhstan's independence. So yes, they are very concerned and hope that this will resolve itself in a peaceful way for their own reasons of their own population, but for the entire region.
What is the current state of the Kazakh-Russian relationship?
Well, as I said, that they have a strategic partnership, and
in these organizations that you mentioned.
That's right. That most recently they created a customs union with Russia, Kazakhstan, and Belarus, and which has been turned into an economic union that will basically creates a one customs space and with tariffs and allowing basically a one market of the three countries that are members of this union. So they are very much entwined with that, and as I said, they're also members of the Collective Security Treaty Organization of the former states of the Soviet Union, and Kazakhstan is a member of that, and they are engaged in maneuvers and have a close security relationship, as well as in the air defense of this space is also included in the Russia-Kazakhstan airspace area as well. So it is a very close relationship, and one, however, that they feel has to be based upon respect for their independence, political independence, and territorial integrity.
Kazakhstan has been a very strong partner of the United States in all the work that we've done in Afghanistan, a military partner. It's been of significant assistance in a northern route to retrograde personnel and material. Kazakhstan has done a significant job in the education of Afghani students, college students, and has done that pretty significantly. The Kazakh government have concerns about the post-2014 transition of the U.S. role in Afghanistan, and how could we work to allay concerns if they have them?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that even though Kazakhstan does not have a border with Afghanistan, nevertheless, they and other countries in the Central Asian region are quite concerned about developments in Afghanistan because it can affect their security. They would not like to see Afghanistan fail, and they would not like to see it to become a platform for extremism or terrorism that can affect their populations and their security. And that's why Kazakhstan and other countries in the region have been particularly supportive of efforts to stabilize Afghanistan politically as well as economically, and that will continue. We keep a very close consultative relationship with Kazakhstan and other countries in the region to keep them abreast of our policies and what we are doing in Afghanistan, and in emphasizing the point that we are not abandoning Afghanistan, that we are transitioning to another relationship with Afghanistan that is equally important, and that will be even more engaged with Afghanistan in order to see it succeed and stabilize as a unitary state. And that is what countries like Kazakhstan are interested in hearing from us, and not just hearing from us, but seeing that that is the case, but also partnering with the United States and other countries to ensure that Afghanistan will become and remain a stable state that can be integrated into the larger economy.
What role is the United States playing in any current efforts to try to encourage Kazakhstan to supply energy to Europe via the Caspian pipeline system?
Well, most of Kazakhstan's energy resources go out through a pipeline that goes through mostly through Russia, and then there is another line that goes through China. But they have also have established a line that does go through to Turkmenistan, and also to build up the port of Aktau on the Caspian Sea, which could be used for sending liquefied natural gas across the Caspian in order to reach into the pipeline that goes through the Caucasus. They can also do tankers and things of that nature, as well as they are developing the fields that are in the northern Caspian region. So that is another part of their own desire to diversify their exports of their energy resources through the Caucasus, across the Caspian, as well as in the more traditional directions that they've had.
I think you mentioned in your testimony the bid of Kazakhstan for membership in the WTO. Could you talk a little bit about the current status of that bid?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Kazakhstan does wish to become a member of the WTO. The United States wishes to assist it to become a member of the WTO, and there have been very intensive technical discussions between the United States and Kazakhstan on their WTO accession. The fact that Kazakhstan is a member of the Customs Union and the Eurasian Economic Union has added some technical issues that have to be resolved, particularly on tariffs and on phytosanitary, that is international standards, that we are working on with Kazakhstan. And so it's a very active issue that we are working on with the Kazakhstani authorities, and we hope that this can be concluded relatively soon.
Could you offer kind of a current status of human rights or democratization issues in Kazakhstan? And particularly, I asked Ambassador Bernakat about religious freedom. Yes. I'd like your thoughts on that as well.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that the issues of human rights and religious freedom and the like are issues that have been of concern of the United States in Kazakhstan. Not that this is an area that is an area of religious violence and the like. It's just the matter of encouraging greater openness and space in their society and in their laws, in order to recognize that people can have choices in their religious beliefs, and not to be so repressed in being able to express their religious beliefs, as well as their political beliefs, as well as their as well as any of the beliefs and choices that people would have in a free and democratic society. I mean, coming out of the 70-some years of being part of the Soviet system, it's a very difficult transition of the mindset that the people can be trusted to exercise responsibility along with the freedoms that they would have. And this is an area that we at the United States government and our agencies, as well as American civil society, wish to work very constructively with Kazakhstan in developing this atmosphere of greater space for civil society and respect for religious diversity, as well as diversity across the board. And if I'm confirmed, this would be certainly a very important element of my work in Kazakhstan. And it's, again, a matter of trying to develop a constructive relationship on these issues and to move from expressing of concern, to really seeing developments that are effective on the ground and affecting people's lives in opening up this space for civil society, for political pluralism and religious pluralism.
I know in 2011, Kazakhstan passed a religious registration law requiring the registration of religious organizations if they have certain membership at a local level or at a national level. And the justification asserted was a concern about religious extremism. Is there a significant challenge of religious extremism as destabilizing to the Kazakh government, in your view?
Well, right now, I would say no, because it's not an area that there has been a great deal of religiously based violence. I think they're looking at a preventative strategy of trying to prevent influences that could lead to religious extremism. There have been some unfortunate examples of suicide bombings and related events in Kazakhstan in the recent past, and I think that has caused them to look at ways how they can deal with this issue so it doesn't become a greater issue in their society. And our encouragement is not to repress, but it's basically to how to deal with the issue of preventing violent extremism by basically allowing greater openness for people to express themselves peacefully in their religious beliefs as well as in their secular beliefs. And so that is an ongoing dialogue and activity that we have with Kazakhstan because of the importance of this for the future to prevent a situation of developing where there would be more homegrown religious extremism and violence in their own society.
We see this same, delicate balancing everywhere in the world. The concerns about terrorism and extremism, often in a legitimate way, create a need to try to control a bit. But if you do that too much, then you may actually create the self-fulfilling prophecy that a feeling of repression by the government can actually make these problems worse. And trying to assist in challenging circumstances, and this is not an easy balance to strike. But thank you for your testimony.
Absolutely.
I'll now move to Mr. Mustard with respect to Turkmenistan. The administration has been pretty positive in its description of Turkmenistan. The quote that I saw was an enabler for regional stability, acknowledging the importance of economic humanitarian support and also support, as you testified, of the overflights to Afghanistan. How do you see Turkmenistan's role changing in the region as we enter into a new phase of our involvement in Afghanistan?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. I see Turkmenistan becoming somewhat more important than it already has been because of the role that it has in linking Afghanistan to Europe and to other parts of Asia. Looking at what Turkmenistan is doing in terms of developing a railroad that will establish links between Afghanistan and Tajikistan, Afghanistan connecting to the main line going up into Kazakhstan. Also, the gas pipelines that will allow Central Asia to link to Europe as well as to other parts of Asia, particularly South Asia. And then the New Silk Road initiative that would really the biggest manifestation of that, Mr. Chairman, is the TAPI pipeline that would have with it not only a gas pipeline, but potentially also a road network, railroad network that would really open up Central Asia, including Afghanistan, to new markets in South Asia. So I think Turkmenistan will become more important, not less important.
Can you talk a little bit about the progress either on both the TAPI pipeline, but also on any efforts to look at more delivery of energy to Europe?
On TAPI, the good news is that we do have the intergovernmental agreement in place. The bad news is that it seems to have stalled at this point. So one of my priorities, if I'm confirmed as ambassador, will be to sit down with the Turkmenistan government and get TAPI moving again. On the Trans-Caspian pipeline, that is also a priority to try to get the connection between Turkmenbashi port and Baku port so that we can start delivering gas through that pipeline as well. These will all be priorities.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Ambassador Krol, which is the events in Ukraine for a country that has been part of the Soviet Union in the past. I know that has to be a huge factor right now in Turkmen politics. What is the current status of the relationship between Turkmenistan and Russia, and how is the government of Turkmenistan looking at these unfortunate events?
The Turkmen ambassador to Moscow made a statement 2 days ago to the effect that Turkmenistan considers Russia to be a strategic partner, but does not intend to join the Eurasian Union. So it will maintain its policy of positive neutrality and will not join into security agreements or multilateral economic agreements. In terms of the events in Ukraine, the United States government has made it clear to Turkmenistan that we support Turkmenistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity as a matter of policy, and that will not change.
Talk a little bit about the current relationship between Turkmenistan and China, if you would.
China is now Turkmenistan's largest trading partner and is the largest consumer of Turkmenistan's natural gas. And conversely, China is a very large investor in infrastructure in Turkmenistan, not only in natural gas and in other fossil energy, but in other infrastructure as well. So it's a very large and growing relationship.
And finally, the relationship with Iran, that is also one of the largest markets for Turkmenistan. Has Turkmenistan generally abided by the Iran sanctions regime that we've put in place?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. Talk about current human rights kind of status issues in Turkmenistan, any that will cause you concern or be areas of priority as you begin this position?
The United States government is very deeply concerned about the status of human rights in Turkmenistan. And as I said in my opening statement, we believe that a mature relationship allows for a dialogue about these human rights issues. Turkmenistan is a party to international conventions, including the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Convention Against Torture. And we will continue to call upon Turkmenistan to observe the conditions of these agreements.